Hey guys, my name is Ben, and today I'm starting with part 2 of Ascendants. If you're not familiar, Ascendants is the show that I'm creating. If you have not watched the first video, please go back and do so. Other than that, today's topic is going to be about gods. So, just a quick thank you for anyone who watches this series. It means a lot to me. I'm just at a point I can share it with you guys, and it just makes me so happy that to see some of you guys are interested in this, and consider this when this becomes a full show for you guys to have the golden tickets to knowledge of what may happen. So there are going to be spoilers in this series, right? Because it's not a show yet, and by the time it becomes a show, this series will probably be removed so that people can't find the spoilers, so this is more of a build up to the show, and then we'll go from there. Like I said, today's topic, we're talking about gods. So the gods in my story are going to have a very important part. They're not going to be the main screen time. They're not going to have anywhere near the top screen time. They're going to be just kind of there, and they're just kind of always there, but their role is so important. So the way that their story is going to start off is that they're all going to be part of this grand pantheon. So if you're not familiar with that word, pantheon, it means a group of gods believed by a certain group of people / religion. So, for example, Greek, Roman, Norse, Egyptian, Japanese. So there's not going to be separate pantheons. There's only going to be a grand pantheon, really, which won't be a grand one because there's only one pantheon. But they're just going to be the gods. That's it. So there's not going to be some super snazzy title slapped on them. They're just going to be the gods. And all the gods were here together, so you're going to have multiple gods doing the same sort of thing, all wanting to kind of do it in their own way, but yet their main goal is to ultimately have it done all done generally the same way. So for example, like the sun gods, they all want the sun to be there to bring light. So all the death gods want death to be part of the natural order. They don't necessarily want to kill people, but they want death to be part of the natural order. And you have gods of life who want to bring life, but they don't necessarily want to bring people back to life. They just want to bring people to life. And you're gonna have gods of nature, life, destruction, creation, fire, create, like forgery gods, like you're gonna have gods of all sorts of different things, gods of music, gods of cooking, gods of fish, whatever you want. So there's gonna be a ton of different gods, and they're going to all kind of exist together. So for example, Greek, Roman, I know they're generally the same, like depending on which side you're kind of looking at, but I'm gonna have them be separate 100%. So there's gonna be the Greek pantheon, the Roman the pantheon. There's gonna be both of them. They're gonna be separate completely. They all came and they created this earth. So you can picture it kind of like our earth, right? So they have created this earth with life, destruction, creation, and it's going to be kind of, flowing, right? To a point where they're not actually physically doing things anymore. They're not creating moons. They're not creating suns or skies or seas. They're not like Aphrodite doesn't need to go and create love because it's already there. At this point, everything is kind of flowing naturally. So the gods will all decide that they want to see it play out, and that they don't want to directly change it because it's in a good place. So they're going to be like, yeah, we're going to pull away, and they're not abandoning it. There's a big difference. They're not abandoning it, but they're leaving it. So they all decide to go to their place. It's not going to be Olympus or I'm forgetting all the other ones, but it's not going to be Olympus, but it's going to be their own place way up there, you know, wherever it is. They're all going to be there, and they're all going to get together, and they're all going to agree that no god, no gods, demigods, none of them are going to directly influence the world anymore. So they're not going to cause wars. They're not going to go and create more love. They're not going to add a second sun, you know. They're not going to move the sun, right? Obviously, the sun is now rotating on its own, so they don't need Apollo to pull the sun anymore. So, you know, does its own thing. So they all agree to not directly, quote, directly influence the world anymore. So they will no longer assist it. They will no longer go against it. So, because they base this on the fact that whatever they would do, they would see it as selfish. So, for example, Ares would want to cause war, right? If there was a good war or a bad war, doesn't matter. He would just want to create war. At this point, everything is good. Everything's natural, right? So as they leave, they all use some sort of spell, and they bind themselves from directly influencing. They couldn't go and so much as move a pebble, because that would be directly influencing. So the spell that they're casting is going to be a two-part spell. So the first part is going to be them granting humans mana, and mana being the food of the gods. That's what the actual word means, but that's not how I'm using it. They're going to, all the gods, they're going to take a little minuscule portion of their power, and they're going to put it into this grand godlike bowl, right? And every single god is going to cut off just little hair piece, you know, little nothing, and they're going to stir it, they're going to mix it in, and then they're going to pour it over the world, right? And as they do this, it's going to grant all the humans mana. It's going to develop into them, it's going to go into their genes, it's going to become a part of them. So they went from humans, and now they've become something a little bit more. They're humans with mana. Mana will be the equivalent to like your MP bar. So if you've ever played like an RPG, you usually have your HP bar, then you have your MP bar. So your MP is like your magic points. So this is kind of how I'm doing. I'm using it kind of like your magic points. They give an extra stat, you know, if you would. And at a certain age, I'm thinking a very young age, maybe like at the age of like 2, you know, the mana will develop a little bit further. It goes into its main manifestation, and that is when the humans gain their ability. And so far, I'm thinking I'm going to be calling the abilities the blessings, or a blessing. You know, it's like kind of playing off the whole god thing. So this is their blessing, and the abilities can go into several different branches. So you have 3 different branches. You have active, which is like, I want to make a fireball, I shoot fireball, you know. I can fly, I want to fly, I fly, you know. Then you have passive, which is going to be like active, or I'm sorry, it's going to be like good luck, bad luck, stat changes, stuff that affects other people, and it works in different methods. I'll go more into that in later videos. And then the final one is going to be reactive. So reactive is going to be the rarest thing in the show. At least that's how I'm planning it right now. So far, there's only one person I've actually created with the reactive ability. So reactive is a cause and effect. It's both passive and active, because it's passive until the condition is met, and then it activates, and then that's when said thing happens. So I mean, if I was gonna say, it'd be kind of like Bruce Banner or the Hulk. You know, he gets angry, his passive is it's passive until he gets angry. His ability would be Hulk, right? So when he gets angry, that's the condition. He gets angry, it flips, and now he's the Hulk. And that's the active portion. It triggers. It's more of like a trigger rather than a cause and effect. I guess trigger would probably be the better word. So there's going to be different types of abilities, and those are the bases. Now, passive and active are the two main ones, and then you have reactive, which is going to be kind of rare, but it's going to exist. But you know, they probably won't talk about it in the books because it doesn't exist, you know. So that's the way that mana is going to work, and the mana itself also works in a different kind of way. You can use it in offense, you can use it in defense, and it also using your ability or your blessing consumes the mana. So if you shoot a fireball, that's your ability. Boom, 5% of your MP goes away. So you can shoot 20 fireballs. And then after that, that's it. You can't do anything else. So then you have your passive ones, which don't consume mana. They're just always kind of going, but they're not stupid strong. And then your reactive ones, obviously it depends on the scaling of the ability, but generally nothing will happen until, you know, it activates, it triggers. So the way you can use it in offense is you can, for example, kind of like Ruby, if you've ever seen it. If not, you should watch it. You can coat your weapons, your arms. It's gonna be more like a Nen from Hunter x Hunter, where you can kind of move it to certain pieces, and you can enhance your muscles and your bones and stuff like that to deal more damage if you want to use it offensively. If you want to use it defensively, you move it outside of you and it coats it, and it'll make it so that you can block shots. So, but you have to move it to specific parts. It's not a full coverage. So if someone goes for a leg shot, you have to move it to your leg, otherwise your leg could get chopped off or something. So speed and ability to control your mana flow is going to be very, very, very important. So that's the way the mana works. You have the gods bestowed this on humans. Humans develop this, and different types of abilities will develop, and eventually that will be the main conflict. The second part about the mana is the fact that it also, I haven't quite figured out the spawn point of the monsters, but it's going to create these monsters, and the monsters will have different stages and evolutions and stuff like that, but they're going to want to consume the mana of people, which it's going to be kind of like an Attack on Titan thing, where they don't need to feast to survive, but they want to because it makes them stronger. So consuming more mana will make them ultimately stronger, and if they get strong enough, they can evolve to the next stage. So for example, stages, what I mean by that is I currently have two branches already thought of. So my first level monster, you have your beasts, which the monsters will be called the curse. So you have the blessing, then you have the curse, the blessing, the curse. So I like that. But anyway, so the curse, there's going to be different types of monsters, and one type of monster I've already developed is going to be called the giant. So it's just going to be a giant kind of burly Hulk-like kind of monster, like Smash Face, and make it happen. You know, it's kind of its whole kind of being is Smash Face, break stuff, throw big rocks, you know. And then you have, if it consumes enough mana, which by consuming mana it's going to be kind of like a vampire-ish kind of thing, where it has to literally consume the mana that is inside of the people. So if it can consume enough, it'll evolve past a giant, and it'll evolve into a Goliath. So a Goliath would be a much larger version of a giant, more spiky, more angry. And then if it repeats the process one more time, it'll become a Titan. So those are for example, those are for those three. It's kind of like an evolution, kind of like Pokemon, but like, yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking like Evolve, if you've ever played that game. So kind of taking those monsters and evolving them to the next stage. Another branch I have is going to be the Phantoms, which evolve into Wraiths, which evolve into Reapers. I'm still working on that portion. If you have any ideas, let me know. I need to know as many monsters as I can. I want a ton of different variations of monsters. But they consume the mana, and they can consume other monsters as well, but it's impure at that point, so they're not getting really anything. So it's almost not worth it to consume the mana of other monsters. But consuming the mana of humans, it's pure, so they get more bang for their buck that way. So they're going to, so that's like I said, you have the humans with their blessing, and that is their mana, their abilities. And then you have the blessing is the name of the ability. Then you have the curse, which are going to be the monsters. I may change that, but I thought about that and I was like, I really like the way that sounds, so I'm going with that for now. The second part of the spell, right? After the gods pour the cultivation of their powers over the world, they're going to bind themselves away from the world so that they would no longer be able to directly influence it. And so no more causing wars, they're going to just let it play out. So, and the only way that it can be broken is if the world gets destroyed. It's the only way for the gods to come back. So I'm going to nip that in the butt right now. There's no way that we are going to this god land and taking this to a whole another portion, which I don't have the ability to write. I'm not doing that. So we're gonna leave the gods where they are, and they're not gonna come mess with us. So it's ultimately in the hero's hands to save the world. Bottom line, not going to no deity land. So so that's generally what's gonna be, you know. Now there is another portion to the gods that I will explain in another video when we eventually get there. But for now, I'm just still giving general information, and I will get to the second god part in a later video. But other than that, thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Does mean a lot to me. Finally getting to share this with you guys, and you guys get to see this grow. And hopefully eventually on this series I'll be able to have artwork and stuff I can show you, maybe character designs. I do want to get some character designs going, and before I can get to the character specifications, I have to get through all these general things so that you guys can understand what I'm talking about when I say, you know, when the curse shows up. You know, if you haven't watched this episode, someone's like, what's the curse? Well, you know, watch this episode so before you can go on to the next one, you know. So other than that, thank you guys. Appreciate you. See you all in the next one.